There's going to be a fear that you're never going to reach your health goals, never going to reach the fitness goals that you may have. And what I want to talk about today is how to overcome that fear, how to get moved past that fear. And it really revolves around one central concept that is simple, but not easy to do. This is a discussion that Brittany and I are having these days because we are 6 months out from having our second child. And so she wants to and feels the pressure really to bounce back, get her body back as quickly as possible. As health coaches, we know that those are the pressures that are out there. But in the same way, we need to make sure that she's doing it in a healthy way, but you still feel that pressure. And with that pressure comes fear that, well, I didn't lose a certain pound over the last 1 or 2 weeks, or I'm not moving the way I feel like I should do. My body's not responding the way I think it should. And we start looking at all these negative things, and that instills that fear. I was the same way. Mine was kind of on the completely opposite end. I completed a half Ironman last year. And in the beginning, I was super amped. I was very motivated. I was up early doing all the workouts. And about 6 to 9 months in, the toll of the whole journey, I started to get some aches and pains. And that fear kind of came along where I didn't know if I was going to be ready to perform during the race. And I was really nervous about that. And that's a fear that we all feel when you're going along that health journey. Maybe you're plateauing and you just don't feel like you're getting the results that you want. And it all really revolves around one concept. And that concept is I need to become this new person, this person who's lost the weight, who can achieve these fitness results. I need to become that person. And there's a lot of times there's a fear involved in that process. There's a fear involved in that journey from your old self into your new self. I saw this quote the other day that said, like, it's painful to become this person that I want to become. And that makes sense because you have to shed your old identity to become this new person. That's where the fear comes. And when I think about this journey and really that aspect, that fear of becoming this new person, I always think about my journey after a divorce and trying to find out who I was after that divorce. It was kind of like an emotional free fall. I didn't know where to go. And as a result, I kind of latched on to friends that helped me feel good about who I was and helped me kind of think about the world in a certain way. And I enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed this kind of like landing that I had in this very emotionally vulnerable state. And because of that, it was comfortable. And when I was comfortable, was I growing to become the person that I wanted to be? No, not really, but I was comfortable. And that's where a lot of people feel like they're at right now. They're comfortable and they want to see these results, and it's requiring them to be uncomfortable. And that's where the fear comes. And I know I felt this exact fear in my journey. When I tried to date and there was certain people who I thought, these are great people, I feel like we'd be a great fit. They kind of saw the person who I was and said like, you're not ready. You're not ready to take that kind of commitment. You're not really seeing yourself as the valuable person that maybe I see until you're there. And then there's that saying, you can't love somebody else until you first love yourself. And as much as I cringe when people say it, it's kinda true, and that's kinda where I was, and that journey to go from I'm fearful, I'm not confident in who I am, or I'm not confident that I can become that person, that's a change, there's fear there, and what it takes to get over that is just a process, a lot of trial and error to start gaining a new foundation because it's gonna be rocky. I know for me, I talk about this quite a bit. It's journaling and meditation was super helpful for me, but it's helpful because it gave me awareness around some of those thoughts that, oh, I'm going out with certain friends. I may be drinking with certain friends, but I'm doing that because I'm trying to escape this feeling of loneliness, a feeling that I'm not worthy, that no one's calling me up who really wants to hang out with me. And I feel nervous. So I'm calling them, I'm initiating that conversation. And that's really what it takes sometimes is I need to feel the feelings that go along with this journey because it is more of an emotional journey, especially that health journey. It's when you think about weight loss, trying to reach certain fitness goals, the information is already out there. It's not that you don't know what to do, it's the stress, the pressure of our environment largely makes us reactive. And when we react and we're not confident in that person that we want to be, we react in our old ways. And it takes time to eventually start reacting in the way that we should to become that new person. And that's why I just hate the idea of people like just beating themselves up. Like, why did I eat that or did this? And I shouldn't have eaten that thing. That's not a good question to ask. A better question is, what was my emotional state? What was the void that was there? Because that void is the answer to becoming that better version of you. And for me, on my kind of lonely journey after the divorce to now being extremely happy with Brittany and the family, is understanding that I felt pain. I felt that I was wronged in a certain situation, but I did that through journaling and meditation and trying to become more aware of those thoughts and those feelings. And those feelings, they become thoughts. Those thoughts become actions, which reinforce the feelings. So, how do I break that cycle? And that's how we conquer the fear of never hitting those health goals. It's there's something that you're not willing to do. And for some people, it's I'm not willing to track my food. Okay, why? And I mean, there's the 5 whys of why would you not wanna track your food? And they give an answer. Why is that? And then keep going. You need to find that core reason. Why are you not able to find time? And for a lot of us, it's I'm not able to find time because of work. Okay, why is that so important? Well, I need to be able to provide for my family. Okay, but there are also times when you can do a 5 to 10-minute workout, and you know this. You know there are times when you're not as efficient at work, where you could have been home 2 hours earlier or an hour earlier. All these things are known, but when we have this fear mindset, when we're nervous about the person or self-conscious about the person that we are, we tend to not see all of our options. We go through the world with these blinders. That's really where I see the value in coaching. It's not that I'm gonna give you the secret formula to get six-pack abs. It's I'm gonna help you take off those blinders to help you see that there's other options, and a lot of that is through just repeatedly asking questions, checking in, being accountable, being someone to listen to, someone to brainstorm with. Like, I'm going into a stressful situation. Once I'm going into that stressful situation, I need to know what my options are. And if you're not proactive, you're reactive. And most times when we're reactive, we're not reacting in a way that's good for our long term health. As you think about fear and as you think about why am I not seeing the results that I want? Will I ever be able to see the results that I want? A better question to help solve for that fear is what am I not willing to do and why am I not willing to do that? What is the emotional hurdle that I'm afraid to go through? And that takes a lot of bravery. I know for me, I had to seek help. I had to seek a therapist. I had to create a whole new friend circle. That's another thing that is fearful for a lot of people. It's I don't want to distance myself from the friend circle I have because they know me as the person who eats certain things, drinks certain things, goes out in a certain way. I know that's not who I wanna be anymore, but I don't wanna break that relationship. I don't wanna break that connection. And most of the time when we see how these things influence our healthy habits, it comes back to I'm looking for connection. I'm looking for a relationship. And I do these things because I want that. And the same thing goes for a lot of guys. And I know we think like, oh, I'm not looking for that connection. You are because you look at work. I am a provider. As a provider, I'm going to get the respect and admiration that I'm looking for. That helps establish the connection that I'm actually looking for with my significant other. And I do that through my service, my acts of service. That's what many guys think. And they're like, it's not about your feelings. It's 100% about your feelings. When you overvalue your worth in the world to, I'm the provider, I do these things, and you undervalue your health, you actually are limiting yourself on your ability to be that provider, to be the person who is respected, to be the person who is admired. You are limiting yourself. And that's a hard conversation to have. It's, I'm reacting in a stressful way. I'm not reacting the way that my ideal self would react. And changing that and having that different perspective when you're just going through that narrative, I'm fearful that I won't see results. Just reframe it as, what am I afraid to do? What's the step that I'm not willing to take and why? 9% of the time, it's not extreme. It's not saying you have to weigh every morsel of food or run a 10K every single day. It's never that. It's always, I'm not willing to put a mirror up and really see how my actions aren't meeting up to my expectations. It's, I'm not willing to write in a journal because I feel like, oh, what if somebody sees, or it's not worth my time. But getting a better handle on those narratives that are in your head, that's the key to long-term success for literally everybody. The key to long-term success is understanding what's going on here before it turns into an action. That's the podcast today. It's definitely a detour from what we normally talk about, but it's important. This is how sustainable health happens. Yes, it's about the workouts. Yes, it's about the macros and calories and eating minimally processed foods. That's the small stuff. That's the stuff that's already out there that we all know. We just have a hard time doing it. The bigger picture is the perspective. It's the mindset. It's, how do I see myself? How do I become the person that I want to be? You have to shed the old self to become the new self. It's not a black or white thing. It's not a flip of the switch. It's, I'm taking one step further than I did yesterday, and I'm proud of that. And next week, I'm going to take another step. And then over 6 months, a year, this is why most of our plans are a year, because it takes time to become that new person that you are proud of 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, and that your kids are proud of 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road. It takes time and it takes a lot of bravery.